Patriots Dolphins. Miami wins this one 34-15. Let's look at the top 5 graded players for the Miami Dolphins in this one. Figure it's going to be a lot of trench guys because the trenches were fantastic for Miami yesterday. Edge rusher Chop Robinson's at the top of the list with a 91.5 overall grade. Wide receiver Jalen Waddle right behind him with a 91.1. Defensive tackle Zach Seiler with an 89.6. Tight end Jonnu Smith an 83.8. And then edge rusher Titus Bowser with a 76.1. Tua Tagovailoa in this game is 68.2 overall grade. On the other side of things, New England's top graded player, tight end Austin Hooper, a 79.1. Linebacker Christian Ellis, a 78.4. Linebacker Jelani Tavai, 75.1. Cornerback Jonathan Jones with a 73.8. Edge rusher Keon White, a 72.7. And then Drake May in this one, a 62.0. Pretty lopsided in this one. We'll just have to tell the story here, Dalton.
For my money, this game was over at halftime. It was 21-0 at half. Dolphins in the first half set season highs in offensive grade and EPA per play. 281 total yards at 7.6 per play, 6 explosive passes, and 105 yards after the catch. I think that's a big thing. Getting Tua back, getting the ball where it needs to go. The addition of Jonnu Smith, who's been really good for the last month or so in their offense as another yards after catch threat. This first half in this game, the way the Dolphins got rolling, this is what everybody's afraid of. If they're going to make a playoff run or get into the playoffs and you go, okay, this is Tua and Hill and Waddle and now Jonnu Smith, and they didn't even run the ball well yesterday, and they still put up all these points and were just so efficient. This is the avalanche that can come with the Dolphins offense when Tua's healthy, and they're right, and they showed it in the first half of this game, and that was it from there.
My side that told the story is just the Dolphins in the trenches overall. I think this is a really good day for the Dolphins in two areas where there are big question marks for them. I think certainly with Bradley Chubb and with Jalen Phillips suffering their injuries, and Chubb has yet to come back. Jalen Phillips came back at the beginning of the year. Now he is hurt again. We wondered who was really going to be a difference maker along that Dolphins defensive line this past week against the New England Patriots. 4 sacks, 26 pressures. Chop Robinson had that 90.8 pass rush grade. Zach Seiler had the 86.8 pass rush grade. So that group as a whole overall was playing really well on the defensive side of things, and now they've strung together a couple of weeks. It's not just this week, but a couple of weeks where the Dolphins D-line has been playing well. Then on the offensive side of things, the offensive line for the Miami Dolphins, 8 pressures allowed all game, only 4 in the second half, so it was an even split, 4-4. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 for 27 with 247 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half when he was kept clean. So when the Dolphins' offensive line is doing their job, this is obviously an offense that looks very different than the one that we were talking about that was struggling to get any sort of explosiveness when Tua was hurt. So it's just a totally new look Dolphins offensive and defensive line. But then to flip things to the other side, it's not rocket science to see Patriots offensive line sucks. I mean, there's just not really a way around it. They are the most disappointing. They have to be. Right now, 12 weeks into the season, they have the most pressures given up. They have the lowest pass blocking grade as a team. They have the lowest run blocking grade as a team. They can't run the ball. They can't block anybody in the pass game, and they're giving up all sorts of pressures. Doesn't matter if it's Jacoby Brissett. Doesn't matter if it's Drake May. Wouldn't have mattered if it was Joe Montana or Tom Brady back there. Like this was always going to be a major struggle. Well, I guess Tom Brady probably would have made a difference anyways. He's probably getting the ball. He's probably getting the ball out in 2 seconds flat.
Tampa guy a little biased with that.
Against this offensive line, but the Patriots' offensive line is just at this point in time. You got 5-6 games left of the season. You'd love to see progression from Drake May. I don't even know what progression looks like for Drake May at this point, outside of don't get hurt. And now we're sort of at a dangerous part of the season for him and his rookie year, because I still think the footwork is sort of a mess from him, but that's not going to get better behind this defensive line or behind this offensive line. That's going to be a full off-season type of a thing. So the footwork's really not going to get that much better. How he sees the field, yeah, okay, like he could get, I guess, maybe a little bit better with some more experience down the stretch, but behind this offensive line, how many opportunities are you really going to get to read the field the way that you need to? So at this point, it feels weird to say that a successful season for Drake May is for him to not get hurt.
Isn't that what we thought the whole time, though?
Yeah, but now it's at the point where the offensive line is even worse than I thought that it was going to be. Now we're at a point where, like, I don't even know how much progress he's making with him being out there. And I'm not trying to say, okay, well, don't play Drake May. You got to play Drake May.
I think in this game maybe he didn't because the Dolphins blasted him. But I think in several of the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think he's made a lot of progress. And I think the fact that he's been willing to use his athleticism to get out of trouble has been an asset just for him to just learn how to make plays at NFL speed and at the NFL level. We knew this was not going to be perfect coming into the season.
Okay, so
I think we've at least learned enough to know for a fact
he's the guy. I don't disagree with you, but now that we've seen sort of like the early progress from him, I don't know how much else he makes for the rest of the year, right? I don't know how many leaps he's taking. Because next they got the Colts. All right, not the best defensive line in the NFL, but they got Buckner, they got Latu, they got Stewart, who's a monster in the middle, and like they got some rotational guys they'll play out there. So it's not the most feared defensive line in the NFL, but when you're the worst offensive line in the NFL, if they put Latu against the right tackle for the Patriots, whoever it's going to be, because it was Jacobs in this game and here in a 19.6 pass blocking grade, if they put Latu even as a rookie against this guy, his pass win percentage is going to be in the 30s. He's going to terrorize Drake May. So it's that, and then it's the Cardinals. All right, the Cardinals' defensive line's not that great, but then you go Bills, Chargers, Bills. That sucks. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, the injury thing I get. Now,
that's all I'm saying. The most disappointing thing for me is certainly the Patriots' offensive line, because we knew that it was going to be bad. It's unquestionably the worst offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer with Drake May there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the entire focus of the offseason, or at least it should be. I think even if they have a choice, say, on the draft between a weapon and a lineman, I almost think you have to take an offensive lineman.
Oh.
I mean,
well,
they're going to have a rough decision. They're going to have a rough decision if it's Travis Hunter or a left tackle.
So I will say this. We're going to record the Fixing the New England Patriots episode of NFL Stock Exchange later today, so it'll be up Monday evening. So you guys can check that out if you want. We'll take a deep dive into it. Just a little preview of that. They've got the money in free agency to bring in like a mercenary offensive line.
Do what Washington did.
Yeah, like they brought in mercenary offensive line.
They brought in at least a bunch of average guys who could fill the job, and now they still need cornerstones.
I'm talking average or better. Like Trey Smith's out there. Like you go get Trey Smith, right? You've got options where you could go get guys who could be legitimate difference makers for you, even if it's just on the interior offensive line. So to me, like this is an opportunity to go get a mercenary offensive line and still potentially be able to play best player available around the top 3 where I think they're going to finish. Anyways, getting back to this game. Most impressive, most disappointing. Who do you got?
I'll go on the other side of that. Chop Robinson. And I think we have a fun development here. And I think, look, a 90.8 pass rush grade in this game. You mentioned 30-something% pass rush win rate. How about 50 in this game? How about 50? Half the reps he was winning in this game. 10 pressures, 2 sacks. And something fun I found is, so earlier in the season, obviously he's a rookie. He's getting his feet wet, right? He's trying to figure it out. But earlier in the season, he was playing mostly on the blind side over the left tackle, right? It wasn't really working for him. The last 3 games, including this one, obviously, we move him to the front side. Let's put him over the right tackle.
As a right tackle merchant.
Maybe so, but you know what? Right tackles are people too, Trevor. Don't do that to them. Some of them are very good. But here's a fun split this year. When he rushes over the left tackle, 61.5 pass rush grade. When he rushes over the right tackle, 90.6.
Yeah, but he's also been his best the last 2 weeks.
But let's take this back to Penn State.
Okay. Okay. Go. All right. Okay. You're one step ahead. I didn't let you finish.
Last year at Penn State, his pass rush grade over the right tackle was 10 points higher than over the left. Maybe that's just where he belongs. And look, there are guys in the NFL who are blindside guys. Right. Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett. There are guys who are frontside guys. T.J. Watt, Aiden Hutchinson. They mostly line up on that front side. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just where he belongs. For some reason, he likes turning the corner on the right tackle instead. And he could be an elite player from there. Because even at Penn State, too, when they had him on the front side.
No, he was always going up against the right tackle in his most successful plays.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I remember.
Slide him over. This has happened mainly the last 3 weeks. And yes, you're right. These are his 3 highest pass rush grades of the season. But I don't think that's any sort of coincidence. Maybe that's just what he is. He'll be a front side guy. And so be it. I mean, if he's going to tee off and have a 90 pass rush grade and win half the reps as a pass rusher, I'm not arguing with it. Leave him there every snap. I wouldn't care.
I got to give Jalen Waddle a shout-out because, 2 weeks ago on the preview show, we were kind of like, where is Jalen Waddle in this offense? He was on pace for career lows basically in every category, in targets, catches, yards, touchdowns, everything. This past week, 9 targets, 8 catches, 144 yards, 1 touchdown, 90.1 receiving grade. Season average is 70.1, so a whole 20 points higher this past game. 25% threat percentage, which was his second highest mark of the season. So as the offense has really gotten back to form with Tua out there, we are seeing Jalen Waddle now obviously get more involved, and obviously this offense is great when Waddle and Hill are playing very well together. So Wanted to shout Waddle out for a season high of a day that he had this past week. You're most disappointed before we move on.
Just look, anytime the Dolphins tee off and they get all the RPOs and slants and things going, there's always someone in kind of that hook zone, box safety, linebacker kind of area that's the victim, and it was Kyle Duggar in this game. 6 allowed catches, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 29.1 coverage grade. He was just kind of the main victim of this offense. This happens to a lot of guys in this position. He's the read guy for all the RPOs and even some of the things they were running and getting people behind his zones and things like that. Just a tough day for Kyle Duggar, and that's really a matchup thing with the Dolphins.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.